Good evening. If you have driven over any of the bridges on the south end of Portland, chances are you've seen these boats near OMSI. Their number has been growing for months. Often these boats leak oil and raw sewage into our rivers. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. We have covered strands of this story for years, but now some big help appears to finally be on the way. As Mike Benner reports this evening, Oregon's governor is earmarking millions.
Maybe you've seen them, maybe you haven't. About a half dozen derelict boats anchored in the Willamette River between the Hawthorne Bridge and OMSI.
Every single situation is unique, and we work with partners to find the right solution.
Allie Ryan Hansen is the communications director for the Oregon Department of State Lands, the agency that oversees Oregon's publicly owned waterways. Allie says scenes like this one are troubling.
Abandoned and derelict vessels impact water quality, they impact private property, they impact public property, they impact habitat.
Making it all the more important to get them out of the water. It's something the Department of State Lands is tackling in partnership with the Oregon State Marine Board and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. In fact, a spokesperson for the Sheriff's Office says in the last year, more than 24 vessels have been removed from the Ross Island area. The boats you see here, he says, are likely spillover from that cleanup effort.
In the 30 to 45 minutes we've been out here shooting this story, we have seen one person come and go from that green tent you see right there. But a security guard who works in this area tells us oftentimes he'll see people leaving these boats in the early morning hours.
That may be short-lived, though. KGW has learned that Governor Tina Kotek's budget wishes include more than $18 million for the removal of these types of vessels.
The public is asking the state to address this issue, and our state elected officials are certainly listening.
Another piece of the puzzle, Allie says, is figuring out how to keep these boats from getting on the water in the first place. But finding a solution to that problem may be easier said than done. In Portland, Mike Benner for KGW News.
Voters in Vancouver said yes to increasing their support for affordable housing. With nearly all the votes counted in Tuesday's special election, Proposition 3 passed with nearly 54% of the vote. As Tim Gordon reports, this adds up to $100 million.
Well, Laurel, it really does. $100 million over the next 10 years to pay for everything from shelter beds to affordable housing, like what you see behind me here at 4th Plain Commons in Vancouver. Well, the property tax levy voters agreed to takes over for a levy that expires at the end of this year. And homeowners are going to pay more for the new one. The levy goes from 18 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value to about 30 cents. That's up to $150 per year for a $500,000 house. But supporters say it will pay for a lot, 2,400 additional affordable housing units, rent assistance for 2,500 families, and 550 shelter beds for the homeless. And new to this levy, 5% will go to create home ownership opportunities for 150 very low-income families. The Vancouver Housing Authority will be busier than ever, being a main force in the city's affordable housing solutions. They are elated, but not surprised by the election win.
We sort of had faith that the Vancouver community would come through, and so I think this just speaks to the community and sort of their willingness to help support affordable housing in our community because the need is just so great.
It's important to note that projects like 4th Plain Commons get paid for with money from several sources. In fact, proponents of Vancouver's Affordable Housing Fund, they say every dollar spent from it leverages $8 more from state, federal, and other sources. So a lot of money is going to be put towards affordable housing here in the Vancouver area over the next 10 years because of this win. In Vancouver, Tim Gordon, KGW News.
An update to a tragedy we covered last summer. Portland police now say they have arrested the man who struck and killed a woman while street racing. 26-year-old Ashley McGill was hit the morning of August 27th while waiting at a bus stop. Police say that is when one of two cars racing near Southeast Stark and 133rd lost control. Now this morning, authorities arrested 35-year-old Kenneth Joseph Freeman. He is now charged with manslaughter.
It started out as a wild idea, but the Greater Idaho movement is gaining momentum. It's the idea to move Oregon's border, making most of eastern Oregon part of Idaho instead. It's still a long shot with a very long way to go, but several eastern Oregon counties voted to discuss moving the border, and now resolutions are up for a vote in both the Oregon and Idaho legislatures. In Idaho Wednesday, the House approved the measure following testimony this week.
For a very long time, there's been this urban-rural divide, and people on the east side of the state have felt like their state-level government has not heard them, has not understood their way of life, their values, their problems, and has enacted policy that doesn't work for us in Eastern Oregon.
The vote itself doesn't change the border. Full approval by both chambers in both states simply opens the door for serious conversation between the two states about moving the border. In a statement today, U.S. Congressman Earl Blumenauer from Oregon said he would entertain a trade to move Oregon's border for Boise and Sun Valley. We'll keep you updated.
What a one-liner. All right, a Beaverton-based ballet academy says it is feeling pinched ahead of its next performance. Its owners say they are missing all the ticket sale money from their December productions of The Nutcracker. Evan Watson is here. And Evan, that is because they say the company they contracted with to manage tickets just hasn't paid up. So how much are we talking about?
David, about $20,000 in total. Sultanov Ballet Academy couldn't get a response from Brown Paper Tickets for months. But when the owners told the ticketing company that they were going to talk with KGW, just about 2 hours later, they received an email saying payment is on its way. Still, we looked into Brown Paper Tickets, and it has a history of not paying event organizers.
Good guys, nice. Reach for your arms.
Artur Sultanov and close to 80 students at Sultanov Ballet Academy are gliding their way through rehearsals for their May production of Swan Lake.
I think that this studio does a really good job of teaching us not only the very important things about ballet, but also about life.
But as much as Sultanov wants to look forward to the next show,
the amount is close to 20,000. Yeah, so it's substantial.
He still has to keep an eye on the past. The studio's ticket vendor still hasn't paid the Ballet Academy for its December productions of The Nutcracker.
Putting some stress on our next production. We rely somewhat on the proceeds from the show to fund our next performance. Pretty much booking the theater for the next performance, ordering the backdrop, purchasing costumes, hiring guest instructors.
The studio contracted with a Washington company called Brown Paper Tickets, which was recently acquired by Events.com. The contract says Brown Paper Tickets would collect ticket sales, take a cut of the proceeds, and then pay the dance studio back within about 2 weeks.
Well, we got really concerned, I guess, after pretty much 6 weeks. We started looking online, seeing they have a social media, other people maybe having the same issues like us, and we found a lot of information that we didn't know before.
Information like this. The Washington Attorney General's office sued Brown Paper Tickets during the pandemic. The AG's office said Brown Paper Tickets had refused to refund ticket buyers and event organizers, often for youth arts or community events. More than 1,200 people had filed complaints about the company. Brown Paper Tickets settled the lawsuit in the spring of 2021 and agreed to pay $9 million to people affected. But it hasn't stopped there. The Washington AG's office says it's received 97 new complaints outside the scope of this settlement. Brown Paper Tickets has paid to resolve the Washington-based complaints, but the AG's office doesn't know about many of the others. After 2 months without payment, as a bit of a last resort, Cynthia Sultanov, Anton's wife, emailed Brown Paper Tickets saying they were going to talk with KGW about everything.
Within 2 hours, this email came through. An electronic direct deposit payment has been issued for your Brown Paper Tickets account. The timing is too coincidental to not be, this is because of my voicemail, saying that I'm going to take it to the news media and they're going to be basically exposed.
The Sultanovs are hoping to get paid for the Nutcracker shows by Friday and then be able to focus everything on the spring show.
You guys watch that back foot, back heel.
But not without a warning for other event organizers.
Scared for people that might be in the same situation. And I know that Brown Paper Tickets is still putting on productions, selling tickets for productions, and I just want other people to be aware of this.
Sultanov Ballet Academy hasn't received the money just yet. They're hoping to get it tomorrow based on that latest email. I did reach out to Brown Paper Tickets, but didn't hear anything back. Laurel.
Thank you, Evan.